Let me answer that. Yeah, let me answer that. We will have a new office in the very short time in Europe.
But it's still a secret.
I would like to look on it from a bit different perspective than Joachim. I would say there is a positive aspect, is that we can learn from each other and that we can experience by individual, and that brings learnings and understandings from one place to the other, which on the other side, of course, causes certain disadvantages, which you mentioned already. But this openness and the possibility to not only designing architecture in Germany, but also in China, we can offer something in abroad, and what we learn in abroad, we can take back to Germany, that enriches ourselves by our architectural experience. The disadvantage is, of course, the generic aspect. But I do believe that we can't avoid that aspect. We are globally, we are more and more citizens. People move to the cities. The urbanization rate is growing all over the world, which means we are facing, culturally, we are facing almost everywhere the same challenges. And that causes the same questions, requirements and needs. I would take it positive, saying after the start of the globalization, individually, people enrich their environment and experience, and the negative aspect is that if we don't be careful, we lose the regional or local approach, and maybe this is the most important aspect which we architects can, and probably also urbanists can bring in to understand the global requirements, but try to keep an eye on the local needs and approach to bring in that spark of the location. That's a very interesting question, and I would say that Jens should give also his opinion. I'm guiding our activities in China now, or we are guiding our activities in China for 20 years. Let's say the first 10 years we operated and steered our activities mostly from Germany, also design-wise and content-wise. And then there was a shift, and today what we do in China, the design is much more steered from China than from Germany, and we can gain from what happens in China. So I wouldn't say just you do different in China than in Europe, or that's not the point of, that's not the right conclusion, I would say. The more interesting aspect is that we as an architectural firm, we develop on having our experiences in Europe, making experience in China, and why it looks like, or let's say the design result is a result of the requirements. And today, the strengths of our Chinese branches of Jens's work here reflects strongly into also the design work in other places of HPP. Let me answer that. Yeah, let me answer that. We will have a new office in the very short time in Europe.
But it's still a secret. It's opportunistic in a way. It's the opportunity that we gain, and we had the right people at the right time to go to China to start the work there, and we had the right person to go to Istanbul. It's opportunistic. We have projects in Russia, and we're always thinking, should we open, should we not open? And the way the Russian market is working, we are very hesitant, but we do opportunistic work there. And I think it's fine. And if someone would offer us an opportunity to work in Cuba, we would work in Cuba and have some nice cigars there.
I would say we heading to a human-centric design approach, to an environmental healthy design approach. The public relevance is above all, instead of shaping an outstanding sculpture or design an outstanding piece of architecture looking somehow different to other buildings. That probably is second step to shape the envelope of the building. That's really an interesting question. Let's say if we talk about historical buildings, or listed buildings or monuments, then we can categorize them into two sections. The one is the place of memory, and the second probably is then the category of buildings of public relevance. And the places of memory, they are related to culture, religious tradition. They overcome the past years, past centuries, past hundreds of years because of religion, because of representing power. They kept their shape and they kept their use, and then today they are just places of memory. And the other category are these buildings which do change their use. And because of changing the use, because of converting the use of these buildings, they can stay vital. They are dynamic. They have a certain public relevance. And they can overcome time, not only because of memory, but also because of use. To give good examples and combine it with the aspect of innovation, there is the former observatory in Düsseldorf, which had been a place of research and study orbit and universe. And that building had been destroyed in World War II. And the innovative idea was to convert it into a concert hall, design-wise as well as spacious-wise, and so that former observatory, by this innovative idea, became a new place of interest, also regarding cultural use and also regarding public relevance.
I think it's a fabulous example, the concert hall, because it was an observatory, and with the interior design today, we brought back the imagination of the observatory, because it's a dark blue sky with little lights. You think like you're looking into the stars, and that is the magic of the place is still there.
To give you another more commercial example is, for example, again I go back to Düsseldorf, it's the Dreischeibenhaus, which had been initially designed and constructed as a one-tenant building, a landmark building for ThyssenKrupp, the headquarters of ThyssenKrupp, the global well-known steel company. When ThyssenKrupp moved out of that building, the whole building had been renewed as a multi-tenant, converted into a multi-tenant. The floor layout, the floor arrangement had been completely changed. The envelope had been changed so that the conditions offer the possibility to also use it as a multi-tenant office building, and that again is the advantage of flexible building structures as vital buildings, dynamic buildings. You can keep the landmark and the point of orientation in the city, but still use that building always on an up-to-date manner. BIM is a method. BIM has no relation to the original aspect of planning or construction. So that is the most important aspect you need to understand if you talk about BIM. It's just a change in the method from, let's say, analog design to digital design. What we did is we transformed the line drawn by hand into the computer. The computer's drawn the line. BIM methodology combined with the 3D design does something completely different. First is that we design in a model instead creating plans. This is for us architects, this is the biggest approach, that we don't think about doing a plan, but creating a model. Regarding the process, the BIM process, the building information modeling, means that the whole process of design is kind of rearranged or disarranged, because we need to take the detail in the earlier phases. We need to detail, even if we don't know how to construct, we need to be very precise in detailing already in the design phases. Otherwise, we cannot build up the model as it is needed for the later phases. So that brings a new approach in the design process, which needs a lot of discipline and is contrary to creativity. The mythology now, I would say it is a theoretic thing, will have a great impact if once the industry also picks up the advantages of the mythology. For the moment, it is just, we create a virtual, nearly one-to-one model of what we realize during the construction phase. So it's very precise, but if we don't use that model also in the later phases, it is just a plus on effort and work. So that is the biggest approach, is to bring in that value into the later phases, also into the operation of the buildings. Mm-hmm.